Check, check, 1 2 1 2.
We're going to call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock, and we'll start with the roll call. Ms. Ehlers? Present. Coach Johnson? Present. And Berlene Terry, I'm here. And next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the moment by a moment of silence. If y'all will rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments?
There were none posted.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll have recognitions by, with Dr. Stacy Parker Knight. I'm going to add that, for the Lone Star Governance Student of the Month, Teacher of the Month, and showing Principal Appreciation Month.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board. This month's Lone Star Governance Student of the Month is Edgar Benitez. Edgar Benitez is a junior. His favorite subjects are history and English. This year, he's placed his full focus on school with the goal of maintaining all A's and receiving the best scores he can on his SAT or ACT. What pushes him academically is his hunger for success in life. Prior to this school year, he realized that taking school seriously would put him on the path to achieving his goals in life. Additionally, he plays soccer for the school, which gives him the opportunity to display sportsmanship and represent his school in a noble manner. Let's congratulate again Mr. Edgar Benitez. Hello, Kim. Take this and take this.
Just like that. What a brand.
You go yeah, to take one with the family. Come on up.
How are you doing?
Thank you. Next, for our Lone Star Governance Teacher of the Month, Mrs. Atasha Butler. She is the proud mother of 5 kids, 2 of which are Marlin High graduates. Her greatest joy is being a new grandmother, and I saw that beautiful baby. She's a yaya. She's so cute. She attended school at Prairie View A&M University. Her hobbies include cooking, decorating, and learning new crafting techniques. I'm waiting on my blankets. She enjoys attending sporting events with her kids and spending time with her grandmother and family. She served for 10 years as a correctional officer and sergeant for TDCJ, after which she decided she needed to be and work with the youth in the community. She served as a behavioral specialist in Waco ISD for 4 years, and then went on to work for communities in school, and more work was done at Groesbeck Middle, but her heart was home in Marlin, and so we were able to snag her back. So let's please congratulate Miss Atasha Butler. All right, thank you. Have a special tribute here. honoring our exceptional principals. In the bustling corridors of education, where the future is shaped and dreams take flight, there exists a guiding light, a beacon of wisdom, and a pillar of strength, our principals. As we celebrate Principal Appreciation Month, let us take a moment to pay tribute to these remarkable individuals who dedicate their lives to nurturing the seeds of knowledge and character within our schools. Principals, you are the architects of our educational landscapes, the captains of our academic ships, and the guardians of our students' aspirations. Your commitment goes beyond mere administration. It extends to the hearts and minds of every learner who walks through the school doors. As we celebrate Principal Appreciation Month, let us express our heartfelt gratitude for the extraordinary work you do day in and day out. Your tireless dedication, leadership, and passion for education are the cornerstones of our school's success. You are not just principals, you are the heart and soul of our educational community. So in spirit of appreciation, I'd like to honor first our elementary principal, Mrs. Pamela Thomas.
Be some nice bags for the kids. Oh, yeah, it's written in black. Hey. Happy Principal Month, Mrs. Thomas.
Thank you all. Let me scoot over and get. Next, our interim secondary principal, Ms. Nicola Gardier. And also, every captain needs his stewards, and we would be remiss to not call up the elementary deans, Mrs. Sharon Deloach and Mrs. Rhonda Milton. If y'all scoot down, so I won't be in the podium.
Yes, of course, of course.
And for secondary, Mrs. Ortega McDavid and Mrs. Leslie Sanders. Everyone, please, if you can, again, give us one more round of applause for our campus leadership team. And everyone, please text Dr. Henson's the picture so you can be posted on social media accordingly. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of you. That was great. Next, we're going to go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551074 for the deliberation of personnel matters at 5:08. back in session now at 5:33, and next we'll be going to superintendent's report.
Good evening, Mrs. Terry, Board President Johnson, and Mrs. Ayers. Tonight, we will have the Bond 2022 update by Mr. Adam Lejeune.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Hinson. I've got my cheat sheet here. The district leadership team has continued to have meaningful conversation with stakeholders and selected vendors. We are working on several items to ensure successful project delivery. There are just a few updates tonight. First, the Legion Field track is expecting completion in November. We are pending tonight's action, starting work on the baseball and softball field improvements. The design phase on the press box has begun and meetings are taking place. The high school interior spaces, pending approval, we will start working on that part of the project, as well as the competition gym and site work for the high school. Are there any questions?
Next, we'll have the annual evaluation of ESL bilingual program by Dr. Sharon DeLoach.
Good evening, Board of Managers, President Johnson, Ms. Terry, Ms. Ayers, Dr. Hinson. Thank you for allowing me to come before you tonight. Language is the remarkable tapestry of communication woven into fabric of human existence. It is not merely a tool for expression, but it is a dynamic force shaping our cognitive landscapes. The goal of Marlin ISD's ESL program is for our English learners, our emergent bilingual students, to become competent in listening, speaking, writing in the English language.
I love that book, by the way.
Thank you. Our foundation is to be in compliance of Title III compliance. Under the federal law, we must ensure that every student is English proficient and developed in the highest levels of academic achievement. We acquire this through language acquisition in the 4 domains of reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Also, to be in compliance with our Title III, our LPAC Assessment Committee serves as the oversight committee for our emergent bilingual program. And currently, we have it staffed. We meet once a month. We have our district ESL coordinator, who is myself. Our district chairpersons consist of our assistant principals and our deans at the secondary school and at the elementary school. Our district committee has representatives from every grade level to include CTE and the district representation. The acronyms which is required for us to review in our board report, EB stands for Emergent Bilingual, ESL, English as a Second Language, L is the English Learner, BE is the Bilingual Education, and BEA stands for Bilingual Education Allotment. We work under the premise of 2 program designs. We have our ESL Pullout, which this model is an English acquisition program that serves students identified in the English learner, as English learners. And we have our ESL Content Base, whereby our content-based program model is an English acquisition program that serves students also identified as English learners. Currently, we have 183 emergent bilingual students in our program. And as you see listed before you, our numbers are rising annually. We serve 18% of the district populations in our emergent bilingual program. And again, our English models is as previously stated. This year, we had 13 students who scored a composite score of advanced high. And of those 13 students, 1 is identified that can be exited. We had 2 identified as a pre-K first grade student that could be exited, but the program does not allow students to exit at such an early level. Our staffing for 2023 currently consists of our Marlin Elementary housing 1 certified ESL teacher. At the secondary level, 3 certified teachers, and at our district level, we have 4 administrators with ESL certification. We are currently under a 2023-2024 waiver. We will be reapplying for our waiver this year by the end of November, which will be submitted to the Texas Education Agency. Our number of teachers that will fall up under the waiver for Marlin Elementary, we will ask that 4 teachers be granted a waiver, and at the secondary level, 4 teachers be granted a waiver. This will cover all of our ELAR, RLA programs who serve our students in the classroom. Also, our composite comparison from last year to this year. I looked at the TELPIS composite score, which really will give you a good idea of where we are. To our 22 TELPIS composite score, we had 74 students to score as intermediate learners. This year, we had 73, but as you can see, our advanced high scores increased. So if you're wondering where those students went, they went from intermediate to advanced high. And so we are really proud of the work that our teachers are doing in this program to move our program to its goals. For our 2023 focus for our plan of improvement, we are focusing on professional development, our LPAC oversight, curriculum integration, academic relevant texts, culture relevant texts in our instruction, data generation, that is in every data report that you receive, you also receive data about our emergent bilingual students, and also data analysis to ensure that we are providing our emergent bilingual students with the linguistic skills that they need to be successful in our English acquisition. Our 2023-24 focus is broken down in BOY, MOY, and end of year applications. And as you can see, we consistently work in synchronized methods to make sure that our EB students are identified at the beginning of the year, that they're coded in PEIMS properly and appropriately at the beginning of the year, that our LPAC committee meets to make sure that accommodations are served to our emergent bilingual student. Also, that our waiver applications and our board reports are timely as to be submitted to the Texas Education Agency. Our MOY is really the groundwork for our program. We then, in our MOY, start in January training and doing instructional pushes in for our accommodations for our English learners so that they're ready for the TELPIS testing. Our TELPIS assessment window is from February the 19th through March the 31st. Our end of year, we review our accommodations, make sure that our students are also ready for the STAR assessment. Also, we ready ourselves for our end of the year June program that is required for our emerging kindergarten and first grade students. This report falls up under the Texas Education Code that requires us to provide our board with an annual update of where we are with our emergent bilingual program academically and instructionally. Are there any questions?
How many of our students are attending TELPAS Tuesdays now?
We will be starting our TELPAS Tuesdays in November. And so hopefully we will have a great number because we've seen positive gains with TELPAS Tuesdays. So we're working on that program as we speak. Thank you.
Next, we will have Lone Star Governance Goal Progress Measures 2.1 and 2.2 by Ms. Tamika Washington.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. To learn to read is to light a fire. Every syllable spelled out is a spark. In compliance with the Lone Star Governance, our key strategic measure for pre-K is that the number of students will increase from 36% to 80% by May 2025, and we will use the Circle Progress Monitoring as that assessment. Currently, happy to say, with the hard work of the elementary and Mrs. Milton, those teachers, that we are indeed on track. We have, in the phonological awareness, surpassed that goal, and so great job to that team. We will continue with our explicit phonics instruction, and also we have started to partner with parents using the Footsteps to Brilliance platform as well as Accelerated Reader. Again, positive, we have more than half of our students on track. We will continue again to reinforce the daily phonics instruction, and we will work to ensure that every pre-K student is kindergarten ready.
Board President Johnson, members of the board, just one brief interjection. I do want to thank for their leadership, definitely Ms. Milton, Ms. Thomas, Ms. Washington, our pre-K faculty and staff. At our last TASB conference, I kind of gave snippets of slides like these. And I was very adamant that school districts have to speak about the data in ways that are easy to understand. Charts, graphs, colors to demonstrate. Then on that Saturday evening, that night, I was at dinner with Mrs. Terry, and we were being told that, oh, that can't happen in other districts. And I said, I totally disagree. As a school system, we have to know where our children are academically, especially if you're talking about pre-K. Phonological awareness, 95%. I don't think we've ever seen it that high, and we've been here. So, Ms. Richardson, front page on that one, okay? So, but it's, once again, like this really is just a testament, guys, and we have to begin to just trust the process. I have shared with the board and shared with my team. Sometimes we have to just be so consistent, and despite anything that's happening on the outside, we are continuously seeing the growth. This, or STAR, or Circle, or IXL, our children are continuing to grow. And so I really want to applaud Ms. Milton, Ms. Thomas, the entire elementary team, because that 95%, when I saw that, I got excited. But I have to just mention again that at the last TASB conference, when we were talking about why Marlin ISD has been successful, it's because we do our best to chart and track everything and then try to just live by it day by day. So I do want to thank you all for that.
Absolutely. All right, and our key strategic measure 2.2 states that the number of students in first grade will be on reading level, and that will increase from 32% to 80% by May 2025 using the M-class data.
Don't look on the front page.
We are not yet, I will say yet. That's all right, we're making progress. We're not yet on target, but the next time, MOY, we will be on target here. And so again, we will continue to push in the phonics, explicit phonics instruction, making sure that it is definitely a part of the master schedule that's etched out already. And Ms. Milton has been working, and she's going to start a parent academy. And so we will have, we will definitely be working towards that goal and looking to see the blue there moving forward. And so again, our goal is that teachers will continue to implement ongoing foundational skills that will result in an increase in building efficient and fluent readers. Any questions? Have one more for you. And as well, we are looking at the 2.3 pre-K foundational look-fors. In the data here, we said that 80% of the teachers would be teaching explicit phonics instructions. As we conduct walkthroughs, we have exceeded that goal. Teachers are, from the walkthrough data, we're at 88%. And so, once again, we will continue with the walkthroughs, having the feedback to teachers, and continue with those communications in PLCs. I did fail to mention in the last slide that Ms. Milton has also been modeling explicit phonics instructions for the teachers. And so those teachers are also having to leave the PLCs with an exit task. And so, again, we are looking forward to seeing those gains. Teachers will effectively teach explicit phonics proficiently and fluidly. With this, scholars will continue to grow phonetically and phonologically. Any questions?
Next, we will have the Lone Star Governance Goal Progress Measures 3.1 and 3.2 by Ms. Jaleisha Jefferson.
All right, good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. If you dive deep enough into anything, you will find mathematics, and in my line of work, I believe this to be true. Measures 3.1 and 3.2. First, we have key strategic measure 3.1. Fourth and fifth grade students on grade level in mathematics will increase from 42% to 80% by May 2025. We are currently on target for this goal. We have an annual target of 55% with an overall target of 80% by 2025. 48% of our fourth grade students and 36% of our fifth grade students are performing on grade level per their BOY iReady screener. Immediate needs to continue to support this goal, continued support for our teachers with lesson plan internalization, delivery, alignment, and resource supplementation. For key strategic measure 3.2, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students on grade level in mathematics will increase from 53% to 80% by May 2025. We are also on target with this goal. With an annual target of 55% and an overall target of 80%, we have 44% of our 6th grade students, 55% of our 7th grade, and 60% of our 8th grade students currently performing on grade level per their beginning of the year Renaissance screening. Immediate needs to continue to support this goal, instructional delivery support on algebraic thinking, numbers and operations, and problem solving, and a second need of continued support for lesson plan internalization, alignment, and delivery.
So Board President Johnson, members of the board, can you go back to the slide, Ms. Jefferson, please, that had the bar graph? So same thing right here. We did some restructuring of teacher support. Ms. Jefferson right now is gonna support all of the district's 3 through 12 math teachers. Her background in math is probably second to none, extremely phenomenal. Definitely like to recognize those 7th and 8th graders. Those were the 6th and 7th graders last year, taught by myself and Ms. Edwards. I'm gonna talk about these kids forever, because y'all know I'm gonna retire from Maryland. Now, we have to look at the level of retained knowledge. Despite summertime, we've already met the annual goal with these students. So it just shows that our children, there was not this massive amount of summer slide gap, I'm not sure what the appropriate terminology is now, but to have children already walking the door at the goal, I'm gonna say it to you again. We're showing what is taking place with our children, the more than capable. Numbers do not lie. So I look forward to the continued numbers. And thank you again for your leadership. Good old 7th and 8th grade, already at the annual target. Taught by Nikki Edwards and Daryl Gerard, Julie Henson. Thank you very much.
Any questions for this section?
Next, we have key strategic measure 3.3. 3.3 states 80% of teacher lesson plans are aligned to the district curriculum based on walkthrough data. We are currently exceeding this target with 88% of the lesson plans pulled being aligned to the district curriculum. Immediate needs to continue to support this goal are lesson planning, internalization, and delivery support. Any questions for this key strategic measure? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, excuse me, next we will have the Copperhead Solar 313 Agreement Amendment by Dr. Stacy Parker Knight.
Good evening, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. On June 20th, 2022, the board and Copperhead Solar entered into an agreement. If you all will remember, they are building this great solar farm out somewhere that will be a great asset to our tax base. Particularly, one of interest was the taxable value for an INS tax rate on the collections to help pay for a great part of the debt of the bond. But what they also shared at that time was that there were some additional benefits as it relates to M&O. And so what happened is the agreement entered was based on projections at the time, and they are now realizing that they're going to complete this project way ahead of schedule. And as Marlin being the tax base, they needed our permission to amend to bump up the date. And so why, again, should we amend? The project is ahead of schedule. They actually anticipate finishing on or before December 31st of this year. And so initially, it was set for us to not start to have a tax valuation until January of 2025, and that is bumping up a year. And so again, it is going to be no cost to the agreement to enter into the agreement. We're just agreeing for Copperhead, for the company to submit the amendment request to the comptroller's office to bump up that schedule. But I did want to highlight some of the benefits. So before the amendment, we were already going to receive some annual supplemental payments to begin tax year 2024. There, we will start receiving those same supplemental payments, but there were also some revenue protection payments to begin tax year 2025 with the targeted completion being bumped up. That will now bump up those payments coming to our district for the tax year 2024, so a whole year earlier. And both of those M&O payments are just a natural benefit to the district for the tax savings that the company gets from the state and the federal level that they pass on to the taxing entity, which is us. The revenue protection payments were going to be estimated at $1 million, but the payments now will bump up a little bit to our district because of the increased value of completing the project earlier. The full taxable value as it relates to our interest and sinking tax rate is going to stay the same. So they are still going to be fully responsible for their tax portion of that, and that doesn't change. Are there any questions? By effectively managing and allocating resources, schools ensure the provision of high-quality education that empowers students for a successful future. And we know responsible financial practices not only enhance those outcomes, but it also helps build that trust and accountability among all of our stakeholders. So I'm going to present tonight the September 2023 financial report. As you can see in your board packet, the general fund report for 2023, we have begun receiving our revenue from local and state levels. We have begun, if you remember from last month, it wasn't as much in the instruction function, but now school has begun, and we are, of course, putting our money where our students are, as you saw in the data being presented. And so we are still to the good. Again, you'll see the list of where we're spending out, and of course, some of our biggest expenses are in instruction and operations to keep the lights and the water on. For our food service, the revenue has not yet come in. Looking at this, I did find out that across the state, they are having some delays with federal payments on the drawdown. So it's not just Marlin, it's all over. They are going through, not sure if it's due to the projected government shutdown or that, but the money comes federal to state, state to districts, and right now there has been a delay across the state, but we do anticipate receiving those federal funds. They're also working on a new drawdown method and system. So just wanted you all to know it is not a Marlin issue, but we do anticipate that. But we're still going to feed the babies. So we did have our expenditures normal, and so we do anticipate that revenue catching up with our expenses once it's received. Interest in sinking, again, just to highlight, we've budgeted the amount that we are due to receive once the tax collections begin toward the end of the year, due by January 31st, 2024, so that we can pay our first debt payment. But the revenue that you see there is residual from delayed or delinquent taxes that they just roll in. From our construction account, the revenue that you see is interest earned. That's the interest that is earned in our construction accounts that we have in both our text pool, our Fidelity, and our Lone Star accounts. We show definitely what we have been spending and expending out of that account, but I do want you to know it's not at a deficit. We do transfer the funds over from those text pool accounts when it is time to pay for those services, and so we that is not a negative. It's just literally the revenue versus the expenditures. And then you can see, I always joke each month that our investment list continues to grow, but as you saw previously for our bond and our construction accounts, we do have our money in pooled accounts so that we can maximize on those funds to give those added bells and whistles that the community would like to see out at Legion Field and as we get ready to begin our projects at the high school. We do also have a portion of our general funds in a tax pool account so that it can gain interest as well. And if you look at our general accounts, we still have cash on hand, a little over $5 million, and so we are still sitting pretty healthy. In your board book, you will see the complete check registry for checks that have gone out for the month of September. And here, just add a few examples for you to view. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I know you told me before, but what is 93? The payments to fiscal agent shared services?
To the co-op. Yes, ma'am. That's our payments that we pay to the co-op each year for them to provide the SPED services, our diagnostician, and the many services that we use, speech and occupational therapy. All of the Falls County areas that participate in the co-op pay that, and that's how we receive some of those services.
And so it's already over budgeted on for the year?
Yes, ma'am. Board President Johnson, members of the board. So we had budgeted $350,000.
Oh, yeah, 93.
But whenever we received the final amount from the co-op, after our budget was approved in June, the amount was $372. And so it's kind of hard to know the exact amount because it's percent-based based off all of the 7 co-op districts here in Falls County and with Eastern McLennan County. So they say each district has X amount of students who receive services. So therefore, to operate the co-op, let's just call it $1 million. Well, if you have 15% of the population, you have 15% of the bill. And so it all depends on how all the evaluations come back before you know the final amount. But that is going to be presumably just the only payment that we make to the co-op for the year.
And it is, and also too, in some of the anticipated revenues with SHARs, as we get some of that back, as they start to receive, we do get reimbursement. So we'll be to the good and not over as we look at that, because they look at, we give them cost reports of drivers and times, and so we do get some of this back through our SHARs refund. You're welcome. Thank you. Yes. Any other questions? Thank you. So as we know, school district budget amendments are critical to ensure fiscal responsibility and our responsiveness to changing needs. These amendments allow us to adapt to any unforeseen circumstances such as enrollment fluctuations, emerging educational priorities. Also, as Dr. Henson just mentioned with that, what we do is we look at our prior year expenses and make our best estimate forward on what it will take to fund in particular functions. With that being said, what we do is we present amendments as we look at true expenditures where the money, so there's no extra money needed, is where we're allocating those funds. So where we may have been over budgeted in one function, where we may have been slightly under budgeted in another function, just as you saw. So here in your book, we're asking the board to approve just amendment to move some of the funds from one function to another to cover anticipated expenditures out of those funds, but it does not change the overall budgeted revenue projections received or expenditures out, just where it is. And this could be due to various things, just as shift in positions. If we had a staff member working in teaching and then they went to the cafeteria, well, that would be a different function, or vice versa, custodial and now this. So a lot of shifts sometimes in staffing positions, and needs would cause for this. Are there any questions?
And Board President Johnson, members of the board, one reason why I do commend Dr. Parker for doing budget amendments as more frequent than the end of the year, it just keeps our books clean. Top to bottom, we're always going to be fine, but I do not like to see the 106% or the negative. So wherever we can say we're over budgeted here, let's move the 8,000 now, the 75,000 now, to keep all of our percents in line and that we do not have any overages. Because I do run a report weekly. It's the overextended accounts. And I kind of make a beeline to Dr. Parker's office and she'll tell me some stuff. And I'm like, okay, we'll fix it.
And it gets fixed like this.
Yes. It does, thank you.
So education is the beacon that guides us through the darkest times. By nurturing a supportive and engaging learning environment, we can ignite the flame of curiosity in every student's heart, ensuring that they see a future filled with possibilities. Preventing high school dropouts it's not just about retaining our students, it's about empowering them to believe in their own potential and providing them with the tools to shape a brighter tomorrow. So I'm asking tonight, board, for consent to purchase Imagine Learning. This is for our product Odysseyware. This is the curriculum resource that we do use with our Marlin Opportunity Center students, and that is our students that are housed in both our JDAEP and our Learning Center facilities. And we also service all of our Falls County Co-op member districts that choose to send their students to us for these services as well. And so this is a digital content platform. The content is aligned to the Texas standards, and it offers all of our core courses and a variety of elective courses. This purchase is actually being made with the revenue that we receive from those member districts that pay us for seats that their students would occupy in the event that they have to send students over. But we're asking to approve the amount as it relates to our purchasing threshold of $27,500. Any questions? Increased flexibility, preparation for independence, career readiness, personal growth, and individualized supports are a few reasons to seek a variety of learning structures for our students. So tonight, Board, I'm asking for approval for a new attendance track for our seniors. So the district at the beginning of the year sets an ADA time, which is the average daily attendance time. They tell the state, okay, we're going to take attendance for all of our students at second period, and this is the time that the state captures. Attendance is important all throughout the day, and we do take attendance in every period in secondary, but the state only captures for funding purposes at the specific time that the district tells them. So our current time is no later than 9:30 a.m. So shifts in our master schedule just created a need to choose an alternative time, taking attendance for a certain group of students from second period up to fourth period. So we're asking tonight for the district ADA time to be allowed to make that shift just for a group of students as it's needed. Right now, for the majority of our students, the attendance time will remain the same, but we are asking, because the policy states to bring before the board, to ask to choose an alternate attendance taking time. This is in alignment with the student attendance handbook policy, as well as our local board policy allowing the superintendent to bring forth that policy to be adopted if there was so a need. Are there any questions? Thank you.
The District Improvement Plan by Ms. Jaleisha Jefferson.
The district improvement plans, these are created to foster and support the development of the whole child, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well. Our district improvement plan is in alignment with the Marlin ISD Strategic Plan and Vision 2025 for the district. Requirements for a district improvement plan include a committee composed of stakeholders, a comprehensive needs assessment being completed, and must include at least 3 goals. Our current plan includes 6 goals, with number 1 being 55% of our pre-K through 2nd grade students reading on grade level by May 2023. 55% of 4th through 9th grade students will be on grade level per their 2023 mathematics STAR exam. Goal 3, 90% of Marlin High School graduates will obtain a CCR designation. Goal 4, 80% of stakeholders will express satisfaction with the vision of our district. Goal 5, 80% of our teachers will appropriately integrate technology into their instruction. And goal 6, 100% of our campuses will implement approved comprehensive counseling services for our students.
Board President Johnson, members of the board, please note the correction for goal 1 and goal 2, it should say 2024. Campus Improvement Plans by Ms. Tamika Washington.
Good evening again, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. Continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. And with that, I have the campus improvement plans, starting with Marlin Elementary. 55% of all 1st and 2nd grade students will be reading on grade level by the end of the school year. 55% of those math students will perform at meets level. 40% of our emergent bilingual students will improve in their TEL-PASS rating, improve school climate, and establish a culture of high expectations by intentionally implementing evidence-based strategies and making data-driven decisions to improve the quality of instruction, leading to 10% increased student achievement. 90% of implementation of action steps are outlined in the Campus Comprehensive Counseling Plan. Marlin Elementary will also engage in transparent, timely communication with all stakeholders to build positive, supportive relationships with the community. Now for Marlin Secondary School, 100% of Marlin High School graduates will obtain a CCMR designation. 55% of grades 7 and 8, as well as Algebra 1 students will perform at meet level per their STAR scores. 55% of 7th and 8th grade English 1 and English 2 students will perform at meets level on their STAR or EOC scores. 80% of teachers will appropriately integrate technology for student use weekly. 90% implementation of action steps outlined in the campus comprehensive counseling plan. And lastly, 80% of all surveyed stakeholders will express overall satisfaction with the vision of the direction of the campus. Any questions?
My grandmother always stated, the story you tell will always be better than the story that someone tells of you. And it's important that the story you tell is the truth because the truth never has to be defended. Marlin ISD, over the recent years, has won over 40 Texas School Public Relations Association's awards, with one best in class for our media press releases. So we are exceeding the goal when it comes to our PR relations throughout the state and throughout our region.
Going forward, we have to operate under a notion of 100% accountability. Because 100% means self-ownership. It means I understand my role in the success of the organization. And this organization is a school system, and our bottom line are our children's brains. So how we present ourselves, how we speak, has to be at a 100% level of excellence and greatness. We can become allergic to average. Like,
You gotta embrace the discomfort of self-evaluation.
yeah, you know, but self-evaluation and self-reflection, that goes with being a true 100%. There is a pain to potential. And as we transition and shift from potential to performance, it's going to take 100% of the parents, 100% of the students, 100% of the faculty and staff, 100% of anyone who comes in contact with our students.
So as you notice, the Manly Marlin podcast is an extremely professional, well-respected, and highly viewed podcast out there on YouTube. Please feel free to check it out to get our likes up. But as it relates to the podcast, we need a production company who we have worked with over the past 3 years to continue to help us tell our story. The media has been very friendly to Marlin ISD, I would say 90% of the times, but 10% of the times, we need to be able to combat that, to speak about what are we doing academically and throughout our community. So we're asking to just rejoin our partnership with Podcast Architects. We worked with them for 3 years. Additionally, they help with our district branding and marketing, everything that you see before us, social media, directing, production, and editing. We do not have a cost or a quote today, but of course, with the rising cost, we are assuming that we are going to exceed the threshold of $25,000, but I'll make sure that we definitely stay well below $50,000. And this will be grant funded and will not cost the district any of our local dollars. Are there any questions? Board policy DEC local. There's no hook for this one, it's the law. September 1, a change came into effect as it relates to our leave and absence policy for our police officers, and this relates to House Bill 1486 and House Bill 471. I had to answer questions from TASB because TASB, they're the ones who house all of our school board policy in the majority of districts across the state of Texas. And so since we do not offer any full-time licensed telecommunicators, we don't have to worry about item 1. Item number 2, as it relates to mental health days for our police officers, the district does offer 2 mental health days per year in addition to the standard leave provided to them. House Bill 471, it does relate to EMS personnel. So item 3, we do not have any EMS personnel. But option 4 states, for the police officers who have to use leave, they are to use any leave that they have that's been accumulated in addition to the 2 days. And so we now have an updated board policy, DEC local, with your approval tonight, that will be placed on our website. Are there any questions? And this is not to be confused with Senate Bill 1. Some of y'all might get that joke. Consent agenda, purchase, core displays related to bond 2022 projects.
Good evening again, Board President Johnson, members of the board, Dr. Henson. The Friday night experience, immersive full spectrum music, game pre-roll, hyping up the crowd for the beginning of the game, advertising space on our scoreboards that can rotate every week if we want them to, clips during the game, first down, touchdown. These are all things that Marlin has never had before. With this project, we want to bring that to Marlin to improve the game night experience. About a year ago, Dr. Henson asked me to start looking into purchasing a video scoreboard for Legion Field. He wanted it to be the biggest one that he's ever seen in Central Texas. Very nice screen, highest quality, everything. And also, by the way, keep it under our budget that was set for construction. So after a lot of work, we found a company that was willing to provide us with a massive 32-foot by 50-foot HD edge-to-edge screen. You can see the little technology guy standing underneath the board. That is to scale 32 to 50. It's also about the size of the room that we're standing in now. All the fabrication, concrete work, steel, integration, mounting, testing, etc. 5-year warranty, lifetime tech support, we can call them anytime we want, as well as an on-site part store. If there's a hurricane blows a 2x4 through the screen, we're gonna have some extra panels on hand to fix it. Double redundant connections on all the powers and all the display connections for data. 100,000 hour lifetime on the LEDs. They're dimmable, they're high quality, they're super bright. They're the best quality for this application that you can get. Weather sealed front and back, accessible, silicon potted, modular swap out panels to keep it running. The company that we found is called Core Displays. They are on TIPS USA cooperative contract. They engineer and design and assemble these panels in the United States. This will be their showcase project in Texas. The reason why it is so affordable for us is because of factory direct pricing. Most other boards in this price range are well over $1 million. And you can see the picture is one of their other larger signs in the area. That is not a billboard of a photo, that's the screen. So the price for this scoreboard and all the labor associated with it, $560,000, $371 on that TIPS USA cooperative contract with factory direct pricing. Are there any questions?
On the track, do it have a time track and finish to go and
Yes, sir.
finish one?
The part of the scoreboard package is a scoreboard software package that is configurable for any sport that we would happen to play out there, track, shot, shot put and all that stuff. You can put all that on there, soccer, and of course, football.
Have y'all been to see one of these? I mean, that's, this company did?
We were very impressed with the quality and the workmanship on the board.
Yes, Board President Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Board President Johnson, members of the board, Adam and myself, we were able to actually go out to the factory because with an expense this large, we wanted to put our eyes on it, and we saw it and we were impressed. We saw not only in the factory, we went out to the actual street where they've had the billboards running and operating, so we were able to actually see, touch, and feel. And Adam's been working on this, he said, for about a year. I got the opportunity to to go to a few different sites, different stadiums, different locations, as well as Adam and Mr. Bustamante. And we believe that through enough research and then with Adam's background technology, this should definitely enhance the experience at Legion Field. And as always, and I'll say it as we go through the next agenda items, this is all credit to our community for voting yes for bond 2022. And it's our job to provide them with the best experience as a community and just say thank you for their commitment to our district and to our children.
That's the next item. So we can't have just the billboard out there, just the video school board. We need great sound and a great video package to put all that stuff on the board. So this project consists of press box mounted, pole mounted, and bleacher mounted speakers to cover both the home and the visitor side. Full spectrum immersive sound, no more. Easily expandable, so we can add anything that we want to the system that we've configured. It is professional, everything is professional grade connections. If Channel 5 wanted to roll up with a truck and plug into our board, they could. That was the call for this. And especially a really important thing was easy to use for one person, maybe two, hopefully. So all of this configuration is done, everything able to use by one person or two. The vendor that we selected for this was TFE. They're based in Waco. They've been a partner of ours for a while. They have 25 plus years of designing these stadium speaker and video systems for high schools, colleges, et cetera. They have the same access to thousands of professional grade products from internationally known vendors as any other vendor would. They are an integrator. So for both video and sound, $97,064, again, on a TIPS cooperative contract. I would like to point out that the cost of these two items together are less than the budget that I was set with Dr. Henson. So definitely doing a good value for the district for the amount of equipment that we're getting, and also maybe room for a nice chair in the press box for someone who has to run all this stuff.
I got you.
Okay, thank you. So ideally, I would be in charge of it until I train somebody else to do it. Correct. Yes, sir.
And Board President Johnson, members of the board, the idea is for Adam to not only work with staff, but to ultimately train some of our CTE students. If we want to expand our vocational pathways, looking at our fine arts pathway, our sports management pathway, just things to make sure that our kids are involved. Because a lot of students, they might not be in the band, they might not be on the athletic team, but if I can be the DJ for the event, something tells me we might have a handful of kids who love the opportunity to be able to work with Adam and his team to control the sound for the event.
As you exit Highway 6, the baseball and softball fields are the first facilities that you see. Well, we have to do better, and we will do better. We are asking for approval to begin work on the baseball and softball field cosmetic upgrades, up the curb appeal of both of those facilities, including excavation and site preparation, pouring of concrete for the sidewalks and bleacher pads, general site clear up, new fencing in selected areas, and to haul off debris and proper disposal. The vendor that was selected for this project was Sanchez Driveways. They are locally owned and operated. They've done work here for us before. They are in Central Texas, and they are Marlin alumni. The cost for this project, $83,050. I will take questions, although I may not be able to answer them at this time. Moving on, The first step in starting any project is to get the money together for it, AKA procurement. For the Marlin High School interior spaces renovation, we are asking to use the design-build method for that project. Are there any questions? For the site work related to the high school, we are asking to use competitive sealed proposals to put them out for bids. Are there any questions there?
And Board President Johnson, members of the board, just to provide some background, design build is a legal procurement method to bring on services, working with one company that is going to design and build the project. The state does this to protect really just erroneous ways of selecting vendors. And so there's 6 ways in which you can bring someone on and utilize taxpayer dollars and bond dollars. The competitive sealed proposal method is each company cannot discuss price with us in advance. They have to fill out a packet, a proposal, seal it, and then a committee will sit together, open the proposals, and rank them, of course, with price playing a major factor, but not the only factor in the competitive sealed proposal. So design build, one company designs and builds, and we still get our own third-party architect and engineer. The next would be competitive sealed proposal. Here's a project for the site work, AKA the outside of the high school. So that is your landscaping, your concrete, your signage, your new entryway, the parking lot, the lighting, that's the outside. You go around, look, this will cost $2 million, put in an envelope. Of course, it's a lot more than that. Seal it, and then you turn it into Dr. Parker, and then we'll open them all at the same time. Mr. Lejeune.
For the high school competition gym, the district is asking to use the design-build method. And that was it.
You're gonna make Highway 6 look really good.
Yes, ma'am, we are. And that is the plan, to have, right when you come off Highway 6, new gymnasium, new entryway, updated baseball and softball. And I think the community knows me, but I want some purple lights that just shoot up randomly at like 4 o'clock in the morning, you know? It's just, and the siren goes off. Board President Johnson, this concludes the superintendent's report.
Oh, you were ahead of me. I didn't realize what was next. Okay, since we've heard the lengthy superintendent's report, that was great. Oh, I was expecting there to be more. Okay. But it all sounded great, Dr. Henson. So now I entertain a motion for the consent, to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve it as presented.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Ayler, seconded by Coach Johnson to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye, or raise your hand, we'll do that, okay? It's passed, and am I in order to say next is the adjournment? Okay, so we will adjourn at 6:31.